It was a little patronizing. I was just like, it's like he was like, ew, look at me. I wrote a pregnant lady in my book. Are you happy, ladies? I don't know. I shouldn't be like that. I don't know this man,
Yeah.
but I just, it made me
No,
angry.
but it also. Welcome to the Novel Universe with your hostesses Ashley and Dawn. We rate and review the newest and most buzzworthy books. We are true book club girls who don't always agree but do enjoy a good book discussion. I'm Ashley, the fantasy architect.
And I'm Dawn, the criticizer of books.
Grab your favorite beverage and come and enjoy our universe.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Novel Universe with your hosts Dawn and Ashley. And today we will be reviewing and rating The Night Shift by Alex Finley. It is an adult thriller mystery, and we are excited because we don't usually do adult thriller mystery, so this is exciting. If this is your first time here, welcome. Ashley and I review popular books, and we will rate it first. And then we will talk about what we liked. Oh, no, what we didn't like first. And then we'll end on a positive note on what we liked. And then we'll go into a spoiler edition. We will let you know before we start spoiling the book. We are also inviting you to follow us on Instagram. And we do post these videos, our review videos, to YouTube. So if you want to see us rather than listen to us, you can go find us on YouTube. I usually post like a week later. Our next book will be Gallant. Is it Gallant or Gallant?
I think it's Gallant.
Gallant by, is it V.E. Schwab or Victoria?
I think it's V.E. Schwab, I think.
Okay. Because if it's Victoria, it's YA. If it's V, it's adult. But I don't think this is YA. I mean, I don't think this is adult. I think this is YA. Whatever.
Yeah, it like gives off the it says YA, even though it's V.E. Schwab.
Yeah.
Like when you open it and you look at it, it's kind of got this like graphic novel sort of setup a little bit, but it's not a graphic novel.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. But that is the next book we will be doing. We are excited for her newest book. Hopefully it's good. If you hear somebody talking in the background, sorry. My mom is doing her religion. All right. Are you ready? Are you ready for The Night Shift? All right. Let's do this description really quickly. All right. It's New Year's Eve 1999 and Y2K is upon us. I'm going to skip a lot of that part. But a Blockbuster video in Linden, New Jersey, 4 teenage girls working the night shift are attacked. Only one survives. Police quickly identify a suspect who flees and is never seen again. 15 years later in the same town, 4 teenage employees working late at an ice cream store are attacked, and again only one makes it out alive. Both surviving victims recall the killer speaking only a few final words. Good night, pretty girl. All right, that's all I'm going to read. You get the gist. But, okay. Ashley, do you remember the Brown's Chicken Murders? Are you too young for that?
No, but I remember that.
You remember that? Yeah. That is the first thing I thought of when I started reading this book. So for you guys out there who don't know, Ashley and I are both from Illinois. And in the mid or early 90s, some person came in and killed like 7 employees at a Brown's Chicken in Palatine, Illinois. And when I went to college, there was a girl who was from Palatine, and everyone was just like, oh my God, Brown's Chicken Murders, Brown's Chicken Murders. This poor girl, everybody was just like, did you know the Brown's Chicken Murders? And she's like, no, I didn't know the Brown's Chicken Murders. So, but it's kind of similar to this one in that they didn't find the killer until like 10 years later or something like that. So, yeah, just like immediately brought me back to that.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying, right? You know, I think if anything happened like this in our own personal hometown, it's like too close to home. Like it makes you uneasy and super like, I don't know if I want to go outside.
Yeah.
Feeling. So.
All right, Ashley, what did you rate The Night Shift?
So I gave it a 4. I couldn't quite give it a 5. I don't know why.
I know why.
I don't really. Well, I didn't have a lot of issues with the book, but I just couldn't give it like an amazing rating. I had some like little pet peeves,
Mm.
but overall, I was listening to it while I was driving through Aspen, Colorado,
Ooh,
and like, mind
fancy.
you, if you've never driven that highway through the mountains, it is rigorous. So I'm listening to this, and it's like, and he stalked up to them. Good night, pretty girl. I'm like, let's go driving.
Wow.
What did you rate it?
I also gave it a 4, but I know why I gave it a 4 and not a 5. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay.
All right. Well, let's get into our dislikes. What was your first dislike?
Like I said, I'll had some nitpicks.
That's fine.
Some
So it's
nitpicks.
nitpicking time for you.
Yes,
I don't have
nitpicking
any
time for
nitpicks.
me.
Okay.
Yeah. So my nitpick is there is an FBI agent who is heavily pregnant. Like, just heavily pregnant. And I'm just like, there is no way that your body is able to do that at 8.5 months pregnant. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. Like, it seems a little like superhero-y. Like she had some superhero powers to be able to like just forget that she's 8.5 months pregnant, being an FBI agent. And I was just like, as someone who's had a child and has experienced that time of pregnancy, no.
Yeah. And that is why this book is a lot lower than I would have never probably given this a 5 anyway. Maybe a 4.5, maybe. But okay, so I have an issue with the pregnancy thing too. But it's not only that she's 8.5 months pregnant, which I thought she may have not been that far along. But my issue is that this is clearly written by a man trying to write a pregnant woman.
Oh.
And it's about to be Dawn rant time because I was like, okay. So usually when a pregnant woman is in a book or a movie or a TV show, it's an integral part of her character development. It's important. And I felt like with this book, it was just kind of him trying to do something different. Oh, I'll make her pregnant. And then her whole character arc is she can feel some movement, but there was no backstory of her like miscarrying one time and she didn't feel movement. Like there's nothing to substantiate the whole oh it's moving thing. It's just one itty bitty little thing, and
Yeah.
this woman could have been 5'2", and it wouldn't have made a difference. She could have been in a wheelchair. She could have been blind and deaf. Like her pregnancy added zero to the impact of this book, and it's because it's written by a man who did not have any input about being a pregnant woman and what that feels like.
Yeah. He's trying to write something that is completely outside of his area of knowledge. And it showed. It was like, I was okay that this person was pregnant because I'm like, oh, good for you. Woman's doing her career. She's doing her thing. She's also going to be a mama. Good for her. But the way that he wrote her, I was like, okay, now you're like stripping her of this most amazing, beautiful part of like what a woman's body can do, and having her do extremely like intense parkour things. That is not okay. But I'm serious though. No FBI agent would be on a scene that pregnant because it's a liability. They would not have her there that heavily pregnant. They wouldn't.
I agree, man.
That's all I have to say.
I will say, and I bring this up only because I recently watched Inventing Anna. So like I was trying to think of a TV show a movie where this has happened and it was done well, because once again, if a woman is pregnant in a show, is a reason for it. It's important to her character. And in Inventing Anna, the main character is pregnant. She's 8.5 months pregnant. And she is just in denial the entire time. She has not done up her nursery. She doesn't go to her doctor's appointments. She works too long. She's not eating healthy. Like, she is just not prepared for this baby. And the reason it develops over the course of the season is because it's not a spoiler or anything, but she was hoping to be far along in her career at this point before she became a mother, and something happened where she's not as far along in her career as she wants to, and she's upset about it. And so she's just like in denial with this baby because she's trying to get her career going. She's focusing so much on her career, she's trying to like put the baby in the back burner even though she's about to give birth any moment. That's how you develop a pregnant woman, not because I felt the baby move. Like, dude, come on, we're not stupid here. It was a little patronizing. I was just like, it's like he was like, ew, look at me, I wrote a pregnant lady in my book. Are you happy, ladies? I don't know. I shouldn't be like that. I don't know this man, but I just, it made me angry.
No, but it also, it lacked in her you know, clout as the one of the main characters, because I thought she had like a different connection to the story than she did. And that's all I'm going to say. I thought that there was more to why she was brought in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Like her pregnancy was just like showcasing where she was in her life. Not that being her main thing about herself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because all of the other characters have like this higher clout because of X, Y, and Z. And that's why they are who they are.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. So, do you have any other nitpicks?
I didn't have any nitpicks. I have all dislikes, full-blown dislikes.
Okay, girl, I'm ready. You go. It's Dawn dislike time.
Dawn dislike time.
Dawn rant is happening.
I already had my rant. I did my rant. That was my one rant. Okay. Well, maybe this is half rant. Okay, so another one of my dislikes is that this book is the type of book where the author wants you to try and solve the case. He's putting in clues for you to try and solve the case with them. This is not one of those books where you're along for the ride. Like, I just read The Paris Apartment, and that book is where you're just along for the ride. You're not trying to figure anything out. So with this book, I was like, yes, this is my jam. I'm going to take mental notes. I didn't write anything down, but I'm going to take mental notes. I'm really going to pay attention. I'm really going to try and solve the murder. And I didn't, because the red herrings had more clues than the actual murder. And so, of course, I fell for the red herring. And I'm like, I don't like that. Like, I understand you're trying to keep some of, you know, the, I'm distracted by my mom's religion. I'm sorry. I told her to shut it up. I was like, listen, lady, I am recording.
It's not Wednesday. It is not Wednesday.
Still, I'm about to text her and be like, excuse me, ma'am. Anyway. So, the red herrings were great because they gave several clues, but the actual clues to the murderer, I'm not gonna say anything until the spoiler edition, but yeah, I was mad about that. So that was a dislike. And let me see. I felt like some of the character development could have been a little bit better. Some of the characters were really good, except the FBI agent. But several of them were really good, but they could have been great. Just a little bit more development. It would have pushed the book over a little bit to a higher rating, but yeah, those were all my dislikes, though.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I was like, sitting down and like, I think that is probably the number one thing that I felt disconnected from.
Yeah.
You know, was the FBI agent. So yeah, so some things that we liked. Honestly, I really enjoyed the plot twists. I was all for it. Like, there have been so many books that we have read, and it's like, okay, like, I know who done it. Like, I know who it is. And I felt like Alex Finley really did a good job of like constantly turning the table. We're constantly looking at someone else because this clue was brought up, or you have an ultimatum, or, you know, maybe it was this person, and you really start to think like, was it so and so? Was it not? Maybe, I don't know. Like, and especially with one of the main characters Chris and his obsession with the vlogger. That's all I'm going to say. Like, that whole twist right there was one of those things that I was so in for, because it was very unique to him as a character. And then even, with Ella, who's the therapist and everything like that, like, she had her own twist going on in the story. And it's just, I thought he did a good job, because I was on the edge of my seat, because I really did not, peg who it was supposed to be at that point in time.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I was too distracted. Unlike the last book that we just read, where it was like, really, we know who did it. Like,
yeah, I agree. This book kind of read like a movie or a TV show. Just like the pacing was done really well. The twists came in at the right time. They were not predictable twists. I too did not guess, and even if I had I wouldn't have been upset about it, because he wants you to try and guess. That's the whole point, is try and figure out who the killer is. So even if I had it wouldn't have made it predictable. It just would have been like the book was written well, because it laid out the clues really well. I have been watching a couple of booktubers talk about this book, and some people are like, I guess the killer right away. Okay, just because you guess the name off the top of your head does not mean you guessed the killer. I call bullshit on that. So if that's you, I call bullshit on that. That don't count. You have to use the clues anyway. I like the twists and turns. It was especially the FBI agent's assistant. Like, he seemed like he just came right out of a movie, and I liked him a lot.
I loved
Atticus, yeah.
Yes, I was like, okay, I am all in.
Yeah.
I agree with you. If you spotted who it was right away just based on a feeling,
No.
There were too many feelings happening that you could have guessed like at least 10 of them to be the person who done it.
No. I really liked Ella. I thought that she was an interesting character because she was a therapist, yet she was incredibly flawed. Like, this girl needed therapy herself, and she was self-aware. Like, she knew she was a shitty person, and what she was doing was not okay, yet she didn't seek help for whatever reason, and yet she was helping teens. Like, I don't know how realistic that is for an actual therapist to counsel people when they have some serious trauma that they haven't dealt with, but it worked for the book.
Yeah. And I agree. But I think the thing that gave her like the upper edge with her character is the fact that she recognized that she was flawed, like, and she was very self-aware. It's like, okay, like, so she's hopefully close enough to seeking the help that she really truly needed. But I like a character with honesty. Like, don't lie to yourself. Don't sit there and do X, Y, and Z. Like, own your insecurities and your fears, and that makes you way more credible person.
Yeah.
So another thing that I really liked about this book is that I really like the nostalgia. Okay, Blockbuster in the 90s, like, I just pictured it. You could still smell the popcorn and all the candy.
Ashley is a lot younger than me, so, like, you were born in the 90s. I was not. So, what's your memory of Blockbuster?
So I mean, like, we went to Blockbuster every Friday night to get a movie. Like, that was the thing, in the VHS section to pick it out. And I remember, like, the worn down, like, printed covers, and all of that. But I remember the Blockbuster in Zion and the one in Waukegan. That was, like, the one that was, like, a little bit newer.
Yeah.
To go to for a while. And then even when I went to college, there was still a Blockbuster close by. And so it was before they went ultimately bankrupt, like, all over the country and, like, completely shut down because, streaming and everything like that started to happen. So
I'm old enough where I think I was a kid when Blockbuster first started. Like, I remember when the Blockbuster in Zion, it's where the AutoZone is now by the
Yeah.
Dollar Family Dollar. Yeah. Before that, that was a like a flea market. And then it became a Blockbuster. So I was a kid when it wasn't even a Blockbuster yet. And we were like, yay, Blockbuster. And yeah, I remember
Yeah.
going in and, you would be really sad when there was no empty cases, which meant they were all sold out. That was a bummer.
The worst too when a new movie would come out and they were just all the empty cases
Yeah.
across, and you're just like, dang it.
Yeah. I love Blockbuster. I think I had my own Blockbuster card at one
Yes.
point, and yeah,
Yes.
it was a good
So
time.
yeah, totally love that because I was brought like, and I could envision that, and I think that he wrote to people who knew what Blockbuster was. So that little like hint to it, I was like, oh yeah. And then even the characters of who worked at the Blockbuster, I was like, I remember those people.
Yeah, because it was always teenagers who worked at the Blockbuster.
Yeah, those high schoolers that were just trying to, get a couple extra bucks in their pocket.
Yep.
Oh, but it was so good because I still also remember like if you got good grades on your report card, you could go in and you could get like on Tuesdays, I think you could get like a free movie or whatever it was.
Okay.
Like if you had A's.
I don't remember that, but
A's or B's.
okay.
Or whatever. But yeah, I was all for the nostalgia because it wasn't overkill.
No.
And so I really liked that because it was like, it wasn't too much down your throat, if you will.
Yeah.
So.
I said all my likes.
Okay.
I mean, just overall, I thought it was an entertaining book. Overall.
Yeah, my last like is I really love that this story is told from all of those different POVs. I needed, like, this book, if it would not have been done that way, would not have been as successful as it was. Because I feel like when you are really thinking about like a whodunit serial killer style, like you have to have those other POVs or else like the story just kind of loses its momentum, if you will. Where you have to get really creative to be able to tell that. And like you said, with even just the way that it was told, like it could be seen as like a movie or a show or something like that, like in that sort of timeline. I think, yeah, it was really good and it was fast paced. This is a fast paced book. Like you can zip through it in one night if you really want to. And yeah, so that's all I have.
Okay. Well, that is our spoiler-free edition of The Night Shift by Alex Finley. Remember, our next podcast will be Gallant by V. Schwab. And if you want to hear us talk about the book like in depth and spoil everything, you can stay tuned and listen to our spoiler edition. Otherwise, we will catch you in the next podcast. If you are still here, we are going to start. Are you ready for the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Have you been practicing?
I just hope that one day it's just gonna click.
All right.
Okay,
we are gonna start the spoiler edition in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close.
See, I did it.
Did you do it? I think you were on a delay and I missed it, but yeah, you did it. Yay! Janet Jackson will be proud. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, let's get into the obvious thing: is who done it? Did you guess?
No.
Who did you guess?
Oh my goodness! I was convinced that it was Vince and Chris's dad. I really, truly was for the longest time. I thought it was him. And then I had a slight moment where I was like, maybe it is some Joe Schmo that just showed up out of nowhere and they're all thinking it's whoever.
No.
Mm-mm.
So I had guessed a lot of the stuff correctly. So I had guessed, I don't remember anybody's damn name, but I had guessed that Jessie was old girl's daughter, Kate's daughter.
Nope, missed that.
I guessed that. Because I don't know. I think it was because of the Goodnight Sweet Princess. I was like, okay, I think she might be related to the dad. And so I thought it was Jessie for a minute. And then I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. She doesn't really have a motive. And so I ultimately fell for one of the red herrings, which was the lead detective guy who was friends with the family. I thought it was him. For the exact reasons that was the red herring. I was like, he was really close to her. He's gross, a gross old man. Ew. He fathered her baby. That's why he knew about the sweet, good princess or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't him, though, because they kept bringing him up, and I was like, no.
You calling me a loser?
No way. What?
Are you calling me a loser?
No. I'm just saying that I didn't guess it. And then I knew that it wasn't the dad of Vince and Chris when he was like, I know where Vince is. And I was like, oh, crap, it's not you.
Oh, I knew he was dead. I knew he was dead. I knew he killed the mom, and I knew he killed Vince. I was like, oh, they're dead. There's just no way.
Yeah, that whole, like, reveal of, like, how sick and twisted the dad was, and the fact that Chris's mom and that they found her, like, in the barrel.
Well, before we get into that, let's stay with the killer.
Yeah, no.
And then we'll go, and then we'll get back to her.
We can do that.
Yeah. Okay, so it was the principal, and this is why I was very upset. Because I originally had said it could be the principal because he had motive. Well, no, he didn't have motive. That's why I was pissed. He had opportunity because he had access to the locker. And he's the only one with access to the locker. So I was like, okay. But he didn't have a motive. And we didn't know his motive until way at the end. Like, I'm supposed to be paying attention because he was a driver's ed teacher. And she took driver's ed, the newer girl who was killed. I'm like, those clues were like teeny tiny. That if you blink, you missed it. Yeah. And I was like, that's not okay. I was mad because I totally missed the driver's ed thing.
Exactly. When they were talking about it, I was like, what? Did I miss something? Like, did I miss that he was a driver? I think I did miss he was the driver. And it was probably said, like, one hot second, and, you know, there it went. And whatever, but at the same time, like, I was trying to think, like, who would have access to the locker? Well, it would be someone who either works at the school or someone that has access to getting those keys, like, who is, like, you know, a student to a teacher, or, like, they're close, really related, or whatever. Like, I knew it wasn't any of the parents of the girls' daughters, like, knew that. I'm like, okay, there's something fishy going on right there. Like, they must have all been in cahoots, right? Which they were when we went through all of that, you know. But it's like I knew it wasn't Vince, and I'm like, it's too obvious. And I feel like even back then, back in the 90s, like, technology was not where it was now. So to be able to locate a killer and to be able just to, like, go, oh, well, there was a weapon, so there you go, and, like, we framed someone and whatever, like, it's done. But he still wasn't tried, though. He was, you know, deemed that he could be a suspect, and then he vanished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, okay, well, obviously not him. You don't have him. And all that. So yeah, I did not know it was. I was shocked. I was shocked too that he held his character so well that he calls Ella, knowing full well that she was a victim of the Blockbuster murder, to go and assist this girl.
Yeah.
Because he knows that she's been through a traumatic experience. And I'm like, that is twisted.
Well, I think people like that, they want to keep people like Ella close so that he can find out what she knows, how much she knows. So he wants to keep in contact with that person. That's why killers, I watch a lot of true crime and stuff. I'm a weirdo. And so I'm one of those people. So killers will, like, befriend the police, and they will go in and, like, be helpful because they want to know what the police knows. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why he liked it.
Turn a blind eye too, like, right? Yeah. Like, I totally, like, didn't deem him a suspect.
No.
In any capacity. I was like, wow, good for you for being around for so long to be able to know that this person that this person was part of this murder.
Good for you.
You would call me stupid. Ashley does not. I do not watch true crime. Like, my imagination goes wild. So yeah.
I was shocked, however, at that the dads killed Vince. I knew something was up because every time the cops came around, they would be angry and be like, "Get away from here!" But the women weren't. Like, if it was a single mom, the single moms were like, "Oh, I'm happy to help you." But if there was a dad, they would be like shutting the door in their face, and so I thought that was odd, but I didn't think too much of it. But yeah, that was a big twist that I didn't see coming, which was really sad.
Yeah, and see, and I should have known too. Like, I was a daddy's girl, like 100%. I'm like, there is no way my daddy would not have sat there and been like, "You want to know what happened? I'll tell you what happened," and like, gave him the 411. The fact that these dads were like shutting the door like that's why I thought it was one of the dads for the longest time, because they were all trying to cover their butts, or like someone lost it, and they're trying to keep it safe within the community, like lip sealed type of thing. That's why I thought it was Vince's dad.
Yeah.
Because they, yeah.
Okay. Anything else about the murder? Who the murderer
was? He was a psycho. He was a psycho.
You talking about the dad?
Huh?
You talking about the dad? Or
the murderer?
Or the murder, okay.
He's a psycho, man. Off hunting elephants and lions with dart guns and like
that was weird.
An arrow? Like, what is that?
That was weird.
It was weird. I thought I was reliving Jumanji for a second. That was weird. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which character do you think had the most growth? Or who was your favorite character? Let's do that. Who's your favorite character?
Oh, okay. Well, I think my favorite character, I think it had to be Ella. I really did enjoy Ella a lot. I felt for her in a lot of areas. I think that I also really did enjoy Chris as well, Vince's brother, because he did show exuberant amount of growth, and like the fact that he was holding on to this fantasy of like his brother still being alive and trying to connect to him, and like all of that. That was great.
I liked that he was really like hooked on this vlogger and how he thought it was his brother, and he was just basically holding on to hope. As the reader, I knew it wasn't his brother, but I wanted it to be his brother for Chris's sake. But yeah, it was really sad when he found out it wasn't him. But the end, they end up going off and doing their own vlog and living the life they wanted to live. So I did like that little addition to the story.
Yeah. I was sad though that it wasn't Vince. I was holding on just for that, like just for like that, them to have closure in a more beautiful way than the horrific way that they like had to like relive all of that. It was just brutal.
Yeah. Brutal. My favorite character was Ella too. I think she, like I said in the spoiler-free edition, she was the most rounded of the characters. She was really flawed. She was self-aware. And it was little things that she did that the character wrote, or the author wrote, that I thought was really cool. Was that when she went out on her Tinder dates, her one-night stand Tinder dates, she would use candy, which were the girls that were murdered with her. Like, it was a way of keeping them alive a little bit, or still being their friends or something. One could discuss all kinds of ways why she decided to name herself Candy and Mandy. But I thought that was really sweet. And I liked her relationship with Jesse. She kind of seemed to be living vicariously through her, because I'm just imagining that like going through that trauma at 17, like your youth is
Yep.
over, it's done. And so now she has the
Mhm.
17-year-old girl who's a little reckless. Ella was very sheltered in her life, and even hanging out with Candy and Mandy was like some freedom, and hanging out with some girls that are a little wild. And now we have Jessie, who's kind of like that too, and she kind of got to live, be a teenager again through her. I thought that was a really good moment.
Yeah, I love that whole that dynamic. Someone who experienced it like so many years ago, and then someone else like right away. I'm like, that's what the trauma unit needs. Like, they need people like that, which is like sad, but it's also, I feel like the victims would be able to heal quicker from a situation like that. And I don't mean like to come to terms with it, but to be able to just move forward in life knowing that someone else is moving forward in life, even though they're not perfect and they won't be perfect, but you're seen and you're heard and you can empathize with someone. So I really liked that too. I did think it was interesting how she was trying to like live her life through Jessie a little bit. But yeah.
Disliked character. I think I already said it.
I, it was just because she was pregnant. If she wasn't pregnant, she would be great. Like, I don't know. Her husband was a wimp bag too.
A windbag, not a windbag. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't mind him. He was a little over, a little extra, but yeah, she was my least liked character too.
Yeah, I was waiting for her to have been like a student studying law, like with it, right? Like they use that case, as
Oh,
something
okay.
in her school to grow how she would solve it or whatever. Or she was put on these, cold cases where they don't know who it is. They have evidence that it's just gone to a dead end or whatever, and it was just more of like Agent Badass reporting for duty. We see 8.5-month pregnant Agent Keller storming in to alert the police that they have caught the autistic son and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, Miss Congeniality, 2.5 over here, like just strolling in. That's just how I felt.
Yeah.
It was very comical, and not in a good way. Like, I don't.
Yeah, that part once again was a little patronizing because I think Finley was trying to give us some commentary on not necessarily defund the police, but
Mhm.
that we need more therapists and psychiatrists and psychologists on, in the police force so that they can go and diffuse the situation rather than the police who are going to escalate it. Like, I see what you're doing, Alex Finley.
I see it. We see you.
We see you.
But
And didn't really do anything with that, though. I mean, if you're going to
no.
give that commentary, awesome, but you gotta do something with it. Don't just check a box.
Yeah. And see, and what I did like, I did like Agent Color in some areas, right? But it's like, I like that she always looked beneath the surface. Like, she was showing the differentiation between, like, someone just storming in and someone looking at every single different angle and why that's important to have multiple eyes on a scene, But so, like, I got that. But yeah, the whole. I just. That's what I saw Sandra Bullock like storming pregnant.
I don't know who I saw, but it wasn't
That's
Sandra.
who I saw. I'm like, oh man. There's a donut in her boob, like just oh, okay.
Oh, wow. I don't have anything else. Do you have any other questions? Those are all the questions.
No.
Well, okay, overall thoughts. Overall thoughts. Did this book, like, meet your criteria of a good thriller mystery?
I think in some cases it did. I think for the most part, it checked a lot of boxes for me. Like, when I read a thriller, I don't want to know who did it. I don't want to. I want to be surprised. But I want you to leave me with enough clues that I am constantly trying to figure it out myself. I do like the fact that it was fast paced. I do like the fact that there was a 15-year difference. I do like the fact that it wasn't fluffy also. Like, there was death in the book. A lot of characters died. You know, a lot of characters that we liked died. Like, poor Atticus. I felt so bad. He was just like, you know, he
that was a
just
bummer.
starting off.
Yeah.
Just starting off, and he knew, and instead of, you know, doing what he was supposed to do, which was call for backup, he was like, no, I'm going to do it because I know I'm right. It's like, oh.
Yeah, that was... At first, I thought they killed everybody, and I was like, I don't like this.
I know! Because of the way that he ends it. You're like, okay, so they all died? They all died. I don't know. I did know that someone was going to die because I was like, those babies are going to live. You just watch. The babies are going to live, and they're going to name them after whoever died. And I was like, I swear to goodness, if it's Atticus, I'm going to be upset. And I knew it was going to be him, too.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
Mm-hmm. You know, and then finding the fact that the dads beat the mess out of Vince, that was just brutal. It was so bad. It was so bad. And so bad.
Yeah. That's sad.
So it was. I was like, I wanted him to be the vlogger. You know, and I hope that I hope that Vince and Chris's dad was locked up in jail for a very long time, because not only have you had first degree murder, you are also a culprit of assisting in a murder.
So. Well, they would just charge you with murder. Like, there's no murder assist. If you're there, you're charged.
Well, see, you would know that because, you know, you watch all that stuff. I don't. As far as I got was CSI, man. CSI Miami. I was all there for it. And that is nothing like true crime. It's not the same.
No.
So, what about you? Did it meet your criteria, Dawn?
It did, with the exception of not that the clue that led to the killer was like briefly mentioned, whereas the red herrings were just like in your face. Mm-hmm. Other than that, and the whole pregnant lady thing, yeah, everything you said, I agree. Fast paced, lots of good twists. Characters were mostly good.
Yeah, and I did also like the fact that there was that cliffhanger at the end, because you don't really know what happens to the characters that are left in the story, and it's not where you would have saw them either. Like with Chris and Ella going off and doing their own vlogging thing and really just escaping the world of New Jersey, right? Mm-hmm. Like, just leave it behind. Oh.
Yeah. All right.
I would read something else by him, so.
Well, apparently his other stuff is good too. Apparently. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I might read something else by him.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
This is his second book.
Oh, so then his first book is probably, I don't know.
Yes, and I found something else about his first book too. So, good luck. Because I was reading through some stuff.
Why you say it like that? And why are you playing with your hair like that? Like you're an evil scientist.
I'll say it off, because I don't want to spoil it for someone else if they're wanting to read book 2. Uh-oh. Or book 1, or whatever, his first book that he wrote. This isn't a series. What I'm saying is, like...
All right.
Anyway.
Well, thank you for joining us for The Night Shift by Alex Finley. Once again, our next podcast will be Gallant by V. Schwab. And until then, we will catch you in the next podcast.
Bye.
Bye-bye.